exactly what I need to do to become more productive. I know I need to finish that important task. I know I need to sit down and focus when I have to study or complete an assignment. I know I need to take that course if I want to start a side business. I know I need to exercise and take better care of my health. I know all of this, but I still don't do it. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this. There are certain high priority things in our lives that we know are important. We know that if we actually get them done, they could make a big difference in our lives. And yet, most of the time, instead of doing those things, what do? We wake up in the morning, pick up our phones, check our notifications, check our emails, open Facebook or Instagram and start scrolling. And we tell ourselves it's just 10 minutes. What could possibly happen? But even though it feels like you are only spending 10 or 15 minutes on our phones, there is something happening underneath all of this. By the time we finish scrolling, that important task suddenly doesn't seem so attractive anymore. So we tell ourselves, maybe I will have a coffee first and then start. And while drinking that coffee, we might think, let me just watch one YouTube video. And somehow that one video becomes another video and another. The more we delay an important task, the harder it becomes to actually start it. Without even realizing it, a mental barrier starts forming. And as the days go by, that barrier can become so big that it feels almost impossible to get past it. If this is a challenge you are facing too, there is one thing you definitely need to try. Dopamine detox. So what exactly is a dopamine detox? What is actually causing this problem? What are the benefits of doing a dopamine detox? And what is the 3-step method you can use to successfully do it? And after doing all of this, how can we finally stop procrastinating and get our important work done with focus? All of these are covered in the book Dopamine Detox. So today's video is a full book summary of Dopamine Detox. First, what exactly is dopamine? And what role does it play in our lives? You may have heard about dopamine before. You may have even watched a lot of YouTube videos about it. Maybe you don't have a completely clear understanding of what it is, but you probably have some vague idea about dopamine. So what exactly is it? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical that makes us anticipate a reward. When we expect that something rewarding is coming, dopamine creates that urge inside us to take the actions necessary to get that exciting reward. And from an evolutionary perspective, dopamine has played a very useful role in the survival and reproduction of human beings. A lot of people think of dopamine as a pleasure chemical, but that's not quite accurate. If an event triggers the release of dopamine inside us, it doesn't necessarily mean that the event itself is something we actually enjoy. And if you pay attention, you will notice something interesting. Once we get the reward we were expecting, we often return to that same empty or unfulfilled feeling. And today we are constantly overstimulated. Even when we get one reward, we immediately start wanting the next one. We start waiting impatiently for the next dopamine release. And the more this kind of stimulation increases, the worse our lives can become. So let's ask ourselves a few questions. What are we addicted to? What are our main sources of stimulation? And most importantly, are these things actually making us happy? It could be video games, it could be scrolling through social media, it could be constantly checking emails and messages, it could be watching TV series. It could be almost anything. And when we keep doing these things, what we gradually lose is our self-control. Even when we tell ourselves, okay, that's enough, I'm going to stop now, we often find that we just can't stop. We keep going because we want the next dopamine hit. And when this happens, tasks that require focus and concentration start feeling extremely difficult. And what's the result? Procrastination. We tell ourselves, I'm not in the mood to do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. And we keep pushing it forward. If you look at this from an evolutionary perspective, dopamine was extremely useful. It created anticipation for rewards like good food and sexual relationships. And that anticipation helped human beings survive and reproduce. That was dopamine's primary role. But today, things have changed. Unfortunately, the dopamine process has been hijacked. And because of that, we are facing a lot of negative consequences. In fact, it is still affecting us every single day. So what exactly is a problem? We can think of dopamine as a molecule of more. Whenever something in our environment or one of our actions trigger dopamine release, we start wanting more of that thing. That's one of the reasons we become addicted to certain activities. In the past, when we talked about addiction, we mostly thought about things like smoking and alcohol. But today, the list has become much longer. Gambling, shopping, video games, TV series, social media, even work. All of these stimulating activities can become things that we know that we keep going back to. And if we simply reduce our exposure to these kind of stimulation, our focus and productivity can improve. But until we do that, we will keep complaining, I just can't focus. So let's understand how this neurotransmitter called dopamine has actually been hijacked. Our attention is one of the most valuable resources we have, and it's also limited. That's why companies spend billions of dollars trying to capture our attention. Apps like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram are designed in ways that keep us hooked. These companies know that if we spend more time on their platform, they can make more money through advertising. That's why we have things like notifications and algorithms. Take any one of these apps and watch a few videos. Very quickly, the app starts showing you more videos related to what you were already watching. And we keep watching. The algorithms are that efficient. Now, there is a small positive side to this. It helps us find the videos we actually want much faster. But there is also a negative version of the same thing. We get trapped in an endless loop of one more video and then another and another. And eventually, we struggle to get ourselves out of it. Instead of using the internet intentionally to find and understand information that we actually need, when we use it aimlessly, what gets hijacked is our focus. And the result is that we become less productive, more anxious, and more distracted. Here are a few examples of how our brains are being hijacked like this. The moment a notification arrives, we go check social media. We keep checking our emails throughout the day. We repeatedly check our investment portfolio. We keep checking analytics. We visit YouTube again and again and again. Or maybe we upload a post or video on Facebook or Instagram and keep opening the app to see, did I get any likes? Did anyone comment? And what is the result of all this? We lose focus. Our procrastination increases, and that's not even the end of the problem. There are more problems. This constant dopamine-driven stimulation can also affect our ability to think long-term. It reduces our patience, and if you think about it, the people who are successful in life are often the ones who can think long-term and make decisions based on long-term outcomes. But now, we struggle to do that because we want instant gratification. We move toward short-term thinking. We know we should eat healthy food, but we keep eating junk snack. We know we should study right now, but we keep watching a Netflix series. We know how important exercise is, but we spend hours on social media and then tell ourselves, I don't have enough time to exercise. Because of all this, we also become less willing to put in effort and wait patiently for results. We start something and quickly think this isn't going to work, and then we move on to something else. What we really need is to consistently work on even a small task for a longer period of time. But when our patience and focus are hijacked, that becomes the real villain. When we are constantly overstimulated, our mind started using certain tricks to convince us that we need more stimulation and that we shouldn't stop. The first trick is, it's easy to come back to work. Imagine you pick up your phone just to check one email. Then you notice a notification, you check that, then you open another app, then another. And while you are doing all of this, your mind tells us, it's okay, just keep looking. It's only for a little while. You can easily come back to work afterward. But in reality, that usually doesn't happen. You think you will spend 5 minutes on your phone. Sometimes even after hours, you still haven't gone back to work. The second trick is, it's okay. You have time, you can do it later. This is what happens when our overstimulated mind convinces us to keep postponing important tasks. I can do it in the afternoon. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. And we keep pushing the important things further and further away. Then a few years later, we look back and think, oh no, I never actually did any of those things. And we feel angry and disappointed with ourselves. The third trick is, excitement is the main source of fulfillment. Everything else can come later. When we get completely lost in stimulating activities, our mind tells us, aren't you enjoying yourself? Isn't that enough? Don't think about anything else, just enjoy. But if you actually stop and think about it, after all that mindless scrolling, how much of that time did you really spend meaningfully? Did those hours actually improve the quality of your life? You already know what the answer is. And most of the time, we can't even remember what videos we watched. The fourth trick is you are missing out. Why do we check our emails every 30 minutes? Why do we keep checking the news? Why do we constantly check WhatsApp messages? A lot of the time, it's because we have this feeling. What if I miss something? But do we really need to reply to an email or message the moment it arrives? Do we really need to check the news every few minutes? Not really. But when our mind uses this, you are going to miss out trick. We keep picking up our phones and checking again and again. Now, what are the benefits of dopamine detox? Now that we understand the problems caused by dopamine and constant stimulation, let's look at what we can actually gain from doing a dopamine detox. One thing we have understood by now is that overstimulation is one of the things destroying our focus and preventing us from doing the important things in our lives. So the solution is to reduce our level of stimulation. And that is what a dopamine detox is about. We reduce stimulation, prevent overstimulation, and bring our minds back to a healthier state so that we can focus on our main tasks. And when we stop needing constant stimulation, the tasks that previously felt challenging and boring can start feeling more attractive and easier to do. This book talks about 3 different types of dopamine detox. Number 1, 48-hour complete dopamine detox. Number 2, 24-hour dopamine detox. Number 3, partial dopamine detox. The 48-hour complete dopamine detox is the most intense one. For a full 48 hours, we completely avoid external source of stimulation. When you first hear that, it might sound extremely difficult. But it can help us return to our natural state more quickly. Our mind becomes calmer and we can sit down and focus on our important work. During this period, we can completely eliminate distractions and do things like going for a walk, journaling, meditation, reading, and stretching exercises. Our mind can become much clearer. The second type is the 24-hour dopamine detox. It's basically similar to the 48-hour detox, but for a shorter period. So it's a little easier than the 48-hour version, but it is also less effective. The third type is a partial dopamine detox. This one is less demanding, but if you follow it consistently for a long period of time, it can be very effective. Instead of eliminating every source of stimulation at once, you identify your biggest source of stimulation and remove that one. For example, if you spend most of your time on Instagram, you could simply delete Instagram and follow this approach for a few days or weeks. Now there is a simple 3-step method you can use to successfully do the detox we just talked about. Step number 1, identify your biggest distraction. To implement a dopamine detox effectively, the first thing you need to do is identify your distractions and temptations. Take a pen and a paper and divide the page into 2 columns. In the first column, write down the activities you are allowed to do. In the second column, list the activities you need to avoid during your dopamine detox. Then keep this list on your desk or somewhere you can see it regularly. It will act as a reminder to what you need to avoid. Step number 2, add friction. When something is easily accessible, we tend to do it more often. So redesign your environment. Add some friction to the activities you want to avoid. And make the activities you actually need to do easily accessible. Human beings are generally lazy. So when you increase the amount of friction required to do something, you naturally reduce the chances of doing it. Step number 3, start first thing in the morning. Before you become overstimulated, start your most important task first thing in the morning. If the first thing you do after waking up is pick up your phone, you are much more likely to get distracted and never actually start your important work. So create a good morning routine and then follow that routine consistently for a period of time. Once you understand these steps, make a decision about which type of detox you are going to follow. If you are doing the 48-hour or 24-hour detox, eliminate as many distractions as possible. If you are doing a partial detox, identify your biggest source of distraction and remove that one. A few more tips to get the maximum benefit from your dopamine detox. Take notes. During your dopamine detox, pay attention to the feelings that come up. Maybe you feel restless, maybe you feel tempted to check your phone, maybe you feel like you absolutely have to watch some videos or reels. Write those feelings down. When you do this, you may be able to identify what your biggest source of stimulation actually is. Reflect on your life. When we are constantly busy and distracted, we spend less time paying attention to the important things in our lives. So use your detox time for reflection. Ask yourself, what are the goals I want to achieve? Am I actually okay with where I am right now? Am I making progress towards those goals? If I continue doing only the activities I am currently doing, will I actually reach my goals? Am I spending each day productively? Which projects do I need to focus more on? What are the things I need to stop doing? Spend some time thinking about all these questions. Solve your problems. If you have any problems or worries on your mind, take a pen and paper and write them down. When we keep everything inside our heads, it's difficult to get clarity. But when we write our problems down and list possible solutions, it becomes much easier to solve them efficiently. During a detox, when there are fewer distractions and your mind is more relaxed, use that opportunity. Whatever comes to your mind, don't miss the chance to write it down. Identify your fears. A lot of the time, we chase stimulation because we are trying to escape from some other fear or unpleasant feeling. We deliberately avoid thinking about it. During your detox, try to identify those fears, write them down, and spend some time working through them. Now, let's look at how we can use all of this to actually stop procrastinating and get our work done. Once we reduce stimulation, we need to build motivation and maintain momentum so that we can continue working without falling back into procrastination. And the first thing we need to do is plan your day. When we make our day intentional, our productivity naturally starts increasing. Even setting aside a little time to plan our day reduces the chances of getting trapped in distractions. Planning gives us clarity. What is the most important task I need to complete? What do I need to get it done? How much time will it take? This clarity reduces our stress and gives us a sense of control. And how do we actually plan our day? It's extremely simple. Take a pen and a paper, write down the few tasks you need to complete today. Put them in order of priority and then right away start working on the first task. Once that is done, move on to the next one and then the next. One by one, get them done. You can also take this planning approach and apply it to your long-term vision. You can divide your goals into weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly goals. When you have a clear direction, it becomes much easier to move toward your goal. And you can also schedule one major task that you consistently do every morning. There are three pillars of productivity: focus, consistency, impact. Focus is the ability to concentrate on a task while avoiding distractions and procrastination. Consistency is developing the habit of doing your main key task every day, week after week, month after month, and year after year without stopping. And impact means identifying which task is actually the most important one among the tasks on your list and making sure you do that. How to develop laser sharp focus? Here are a few tips you can follow. Number 1, be at the same place at the same time every day. For this, you can create a simple daily routine. Let's take the example of the famous writer Stephen King. He doesn't sit around waiting for inspiration to arrive before he starts writing. He sits at his desk at the same time every day and starts writing. And he says that if you do that consistently, inspiration will eventually come along. We can do the same thing. Create a routine where you perform the same activity at the same time and in the same place every day. And keep doing it consistently. Number 2, choose a trigger. When creating this routine, choose a specific trigger. For example, before sitting down at your desk, you could make yourself a cup of tea or you could meditate for a few minutes. These things can help calm your mind. And when your mind is relaxed, starting your work becomes much easier. Number 3, get started. Once you have your routine and your trigger in place, don't overthink it. Just start the task. Once you work for a little while, momentum will start building. And that momentum will push you to continue the work. Number 4, eliminate distractions. When you are working, remove as many distractions as possible. Put your phone on silent, turn off social media and the internet if you don't need them for your work, and you can even tell the people around you that you don't want to be disturbed while you are working. Number 5, work without interruptions. We have already eliminated distractions, right? Now let's also eliminate interruptions. Work continuously for around 45 minutes without stopping. Then take a 5 or 10-minute break. And then continue again in the same way. Finally, how do we prevent a dopamine relapse? Even after completing your dopamine detox, calming your mind and getting your work done the way you wanted, there is still a chance of relapsing if you are not careful. As the saying goes, you can easily fall back into your old ways. So we need to prevent that too. First, be aware when you start relapsing. What we need is self-awareness. Notice when you are slowly starting to move away from your routine and toward distractions. Once you become aware of it, stop yourself and come back to your work. Having a relapse after a detox is normal, but when we lose self-awareness, that's when we completely lose track and fall back into our old habits. Next, understand the battle between you and your mind. When a relapse happens, understand that there is a battle happening between you and your own mind. Don't start telling yourselves, this is just how I am, I can never stick to anything, nothing works for me. Don't destroy yourself with negative self-talk. Instead, simply talk yourself back to the routine, and restart. Next, understand that the world is against you. In today's world, staying focused is genuinely difficult. Everyone is competing for your attention. Marketers, YouTubers, vloggers, they all know that your attention is their source of income. But there is something we need to understand here. Our focus is also our source of income. Only when we use our focus to work on the things we want to accomplish can we earn money and achieve the things we want in life. So let that idea sink in deep into your mind. The world is competing for your attention. So protect yourself, protect your focus. Next, prepare a contingency plan. Think of this as a backup plan. Imagine the situations where you are most likely to lose focus and move away from your plan. Visualize those situations. Think about how you would normally react when that happens, and then decide beforehand how you would like to respond instead. Think about it in advance and create a plan that you can follow when that situation actually happens. Next, put a sustainable system in place. Whenever you are doing a task, try to build a system around it. When you have a system, you are less likely to get distracted. And when you keep doing your work as part of a natural flow, you can also recover much faster when you do relapse. Finally, cultivate the here and now neurotransmitters. To prevent overstimulation, we can also focus on some of the other neurotransmitters associated with relaxation and calmness, such as endorphins, oxytocin, and serotonin. These can help us feel more relaxed and calm. And for this, we can practice things like meditation, stretching, mindfulness, walking, and even boredom. So here is the question. Do we want to keep giving our focus away to other people and other platforms and let them control our lives? Or do we want to make a decision that says, this is my life. There are things I want to achieve and I will protect my valuable focus at any cost. Whatever it is, the choice is yours. And a dopamine detox can definitely help you with that. This is a very short book, so it's quite easy to read. If you found this video useful, I would definitely recommend reading the book as well. And most importantly, take control of your life.